welcome to the deep dive. If you're listening, you want to get past the headlines, understand the important stuff quickly.
Exactly.
Today, we're zoning in on something potentially big. From Google, the Agent2Agent protocol, A2A, our mission, to unpack why this matters, why it's more than just, another acronym in the AI space.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking at a Google developer's blog post. This was April 9th, 2025.
Okay.
The authors, folks like Rauser Paneni, Miku Cha, Michael Vaycock, Todd Segal, they're all at Google Cloud.
Right.
And their main point is really about ushering in a new way for AI agents to, well, work together. Interoperability.
Okay, work together. Because we do see AI agents now, don't we? They're ordering laptops, doing customer service.
For sure. Supply chain planning, all sorts of things. They're getting deployed in businesses.
But what's the sticking point? What's the problem A2A is actually trying to fix?
Well, the thing is, these agents, capable as they might be individually, they often work in silos. Imagine like expert teams in different departments, but they can't really communicate effectively. Different systems, different vendors maybe.
So they can't collaborate easily.
Exactly. There's no standard way for them to coordinate actions or share info across those boundaries. And that really limits what they can achieve together.
Right, which limits the overall benefit you get from them.
Precisely, their potential is capped.
So A2A is meant to be that bridge, that common language.
That's the goal, an open protocol that's important, allowing these different agents, regardless of who built them or what platform they run on, to talk.
Share data.
Coordinate actions, exchange information securely, basically connect the dots.
And the benefit for businesses, beyond just fixing the silo problem.
Well, think bigger picture. Increased autonomy for these agent systems, potentially much bigger productivity gains because they can tackle more complex multi-step tasks together.
Right, the sum is greater than the parts kind of thing.
Exactly. And maybe lower long-term costs because you're automating more sophisticated workflows.
You stressed it's an open protocol. Why is that specific detail such a big deal here?
Openness is fundamental. It means this isn't just Google's proprietary thing.
Okay.
It prevents lock-in. And critically, they announced it with over 50 partners already signed on. Technology companies, service providers.
50, wow.
Yeah.
That's significant buy-in from the get-go. Any familiar names in that list?
Oh, yeah. Big ones. You've got Atlassian, think Jira, Confluence, Box for content management, LangChain, which is, huge in AI development tools right now. Salesforce, obviously. And then big consulting firms, too. Accenture, Deloitte, people who actually implement this stuff in businesses.
That is a diverse group. So it's not just tech building blocks, it's also the people putting them into practice.
Right. It signals a pretty broad agreement that, yeah, we need AI agents to work together like this. It's a shared vision.
Interesting. Is this related to other efforts, or is it standalone?
They did mention it complements Anthropic's Model Context Protocol, the MCP. So it suggests maybe a wider push across the industry towards these foundational interoperable standards for AI, not just isolated projects.
Okay, that makes sense. So we get the why the need for collaboration. Let's dig into the how. What principles guided the design of A2A?
They laid out 5 key principles. First one, embrace agentic capabilities.
What does that mean in practice?
It means it's not just about one agent triggering a simple predefined function in another, like a basic API call.
Okay.
It's designed for more unstructured collaboration. Like one agent asks another for analysis on recent market trends rather than calling a specific get market trend report region function.
So more flexible, more natural language-like interaction.
Exactly. The receiving agent uses its own smarts to figure out how to fulfill the request. True multi-agent stuff, not just using other agents as rigid tools.
Got it. Principle number 2.
Build on existing standards. This is practical. They're using stuff developers already know. HTTP, server-sent events, or SSE for real-time updates, and JSON RPC for the communication structure. The idea is to lower the barrier to entry, make it easier to integrate.
Smart. Don't reinvent the wheel if you don't have to. What about security? That seems critical if agents are sharing info.
Absolutely. Principle 3 is secure by default. They're building in enterprise-level authentication and authorization right from the start.
How secure are we talking?
They're aiming for parity with things like OpenAPI standards. So pretty robust. Essential for business use, obviously.
No kidding. Okay, 2 more principles left.
Fourth is support for long-running tasks. Because, not everything happens instantly.
Right, like getting approvals or complex report generation.
Exactly. Things that might take hours, days even, maybe need human input sometimes. A2A needs to handle that, allow agents to track progress, give updates, pause, resume.
Okay. Handles the realities of complex workflows. And the last one.
Number 5, modality agnostic. It's not just about text.
So pictures, videos.
Yeah, audio, video, other data formats. The protocol needs to be flexible enough to handle different types of information exchange as AI gets used in more varied ways. Imagine one agent sending like a diagram for another to interpret.
That definitely opens up possibilities. Okay, principles make sense. Let's get into the mechanics. How does an agent actually use A2A to get something done? What are the core capabilities?
Right, the nuts and bolts. It boils down to a few key things that enable this communication between uh, a client agent needing something done and a remote agent that can do it.
Okay, so first off, how does the client agent even find the right remote agent? Does it just shout into the void?
No. That's where capability discovery comes in. Agents can basically advertise what they're good at using an agent card.
An agent card, like a business card.
Sort of. It's usually a JSON file. It lists the agent's skills, maybe can book travel, or expert in summarizing legal documents. It also lists, how to authenticate with it, maybe performance info.
So the client agent can browse these cards to find a match.
Pretty much. It's like a directory or marketplace of agent skills. Helps the client figure out who to talk to for a specific job.
Okay, they've found each other. What's next? How does the work actually happen?
That brings us to task management. The core idea is the task. The client agent creates a task, delegates it to the remote agent.
Right.
This task has a life cycle. It could be quick, like ask a question, get an answer right back, synchronous. Or it could be one of those long-running things we mentioned, asynchronous. The remote agent works on it, maybe sends updates.
And the result of the task?
That's called an artifact. Could be data, a generated report, a confirmation code, whatever the output is.
Task is the job, artifact is the result.
No.
Got it. But what about the back and forth during the task, especially longer ones?
Yeah, that's crucial. That's the collaboration capability. Agents send messages.
What kind of messages?
Things like context needed for the task, progress updates, maybe intermediate results, requests for clarification. Hey, I need more info on this part. Or even relaying instructions from a human user.
So it's an ongoing conversation to get the job done.
Exactly. A dialogue focus on completing that task effectively.
And you mentioned modality agnostic earlier. How does A2A handle different data types within these messages, like text versus an image?
Good question. That falls under user experience negotiation. A single message can actually contain multiple parts.
Parts.
Yeah. And each part has a defined content type. This could be a plain text, JSON, an image file, maybe even code for an interactive element like an iframe.
So they can figure out the best way to present the information.
Right. The client and remote agent can negotiate, like, can you handle video? Yes. Okay, sending video stream. Or let's display this data in an embedded chart. It allows flexibility in how the information or the result is ultimately used or shown to a user.
Okay, this sounds quite sophisticated. More than just simple function calls. Can we walk through an example? Make it concrete.
Definitely. The blog post used a good one. Candidate sourcing for a job opening.
Okay, hiring.
Oh,
Always complicated.
right. So imagine a hiring manager using some kind of AI assistant in, let's say, a central workspace. They called it Agent Space. The manager says, find me senior software engineers in Austin skilled in Python and cloud platforms.
Typical request.
Now, that primary assistant might not itself be an expert at searching LinkedIn, scheduling interviews, and running background checks.
Right, too many different skills.
Exactly. But using A2A, it acts as the client agent. It can discover and then delegate parts of the job to specialized remote agents.
So it finds an agent that's great at scraping job boards or professional networks.
Precisely. Sends it a task. Find candidates matching these criteria. Maybe another agent is good at checking availability and scheduling initial screens.
Okay.
So the first agent delegates the scheduling task to that one. Perhaps even a third agent handles preliminary background checks later in the process.
And the hiring manager just interacts with their main assistant.
Yep. They get a smooth experience. Okay, found 5 top candidates. Here are their profiles. Want me to schedule intro calls? But behind the scenes, A2A is enabling this whole network of agents to collaborate, share candidate data, update statuses.
Wow, okay. That really illustrates how it streamlines a complex, multi-stage process, takes the burden off the user, and orchestrates the work.
That's the idea. A huge potential efficiency gain.
It makes sense. But, Google building it is one thing.
Yeah.
You mentioned partners earlier. What was the general reaction from the industry based on the quotes they shared? Was there real enthusiasm?
Yeah, the feedback they highlighted was very positive. It wasn't just polite corporate speak, it seemed genuinely enthusiastic about the potential.
Like what? Any specifics?
Well, Ask AI's CEO talked about shaping the future of seamless agent collaboration. Atlassian chimed in, saying A2A would help their robo agents delegate tasks more effectively. That makes sense for their project management focus.
Right.
Article 8 focused on how it helps AI work across complex enterprise systems. That's their angle. C3 AI mentioned breaking down data and system silos, enabling secure agent teamwork.
So different companies highlighting different benefits relevant to them.
Exactly. And Wipro, a big services company, saw it as foundational for an ecosystem driving innovation at scale. So you see themes of seamlessness, better delegation, handling complexity, breaking silos, and enabling innovation.
Those are definitely strong endorsements. It suggests people see this filling a real gap.
It does. It points to a broad recognition that, yes, we need this kind of common language for agents to really take off in complex business settings.
Okay, so zooming out again, what's the bigger picture here? If A2A takes hold, what does the future look like?
Well, the potential is really quite significant. If agents can genuinely collaborate like this, they could start tackling problems far more complex than what single agents or even humans can handle efficiently today.
So entirely new types of applications.
Could be. We might see AI systems that manage incredibly intricate logistics, or perform complex scientific research by coordinating specialized analysis agents, or offer hyper-personalized services by combining insights from many different sources seamlessly. It could unlock a lot of currently bottlenecked potential.
And Google's committed to keeping this open, not just their own standard.
That's what they're stressing. They've released the protocol spec as open source. They're actively asking for community contributions.
Okay.
There's an A2A website now with the draft spec, code examples, info on how to get involved. And importantly, they said they plan to launch a production-ready version later this year.
Later this year.
That's it.
Quite soon. Shows they're serious about pushing it forward.
It does seem like a serious push, yes, not just an academic exercise.
Okay, so let's wrap this deep dive up. For someone listening wanting that key takeaway about Google's Agent2Agent protocol, what is it?
I think the core message is A2A is a serious attempt to build the connective tissue for the next generation of AI. It's about moving from isolated AI specialists to collaborative AI teams.
Right.
And because it's open and has broad initial support, it has a real shot at becoming a standard. If it does, it could significantly accelerate how powerful and useful AI becomes in practical, everyday applications. More efficiency, more innovation.
It really does make you think, doesn't it?
Mm.
How might this change the tools we use every day? If the software we used had these collaborating agents behind the scenes, what new things become possible? Could we see apps that anticipate our needs in ways that seem almost magical now, just because different AI services can finally talk to each other effectively? What happens when you connect all these specialized AI brains?
That's the big question, isn't it? What new possibilities emerge? It's definitely something to watch.
Absolutely. And for anyone whose interest is really piqued by this,
Yeah, check out that A2A website, Google setup. The details are there, the spec, the code. If you're technically inclined, you can really dig in and maybe even contribute. It's an evolving space.